But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. There's only a few bosses in here that are super tricky. So
I'm logging. I got good intro. Dude.
All right, let's do it.
We're here to learn about the trash.
Basically.
Oh, and also, let's see.
I've never even stepped foot in the fucking place.
For those that don't have microphones, or if you prefer to not speak, I am logged in. Go ahead and whisper me if you have any questions. I'll see them. All right, let's get going.
Mates, and
can you guys hear the audio?
The Temple.
Yep.
Yes.
Ahn'Qiraj.
Yes.
All right, perfect.
We'll mute Groovy.
Your friends will abandon you.
Fuck, I cannot hear the audio.
Is it really loud?
No.
Hold up.
It's fine.
Really quiet.
Will die.
That's on your side.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm dumb.
Okay.
Welcome to AQ40. Upon entering, you'll find your first challenge. Obsidian Eradicators are like the little moems from AQ20. They'll drain your raid's mana, and when they get the full mana, they'll explode and do a lot of damage. So Priest Hunters and Warlocks drain their mana, but if your DPS is good enough, you could probably just tunnel them instead.
Our DPS is good enough.
Sentinels Each of these adds get one random ability from this pool. Just cast...
Hold up. I'm just going to scoot this back just a second so that you can kind of see all these abilities. So, casters, this is kind of one of those ones where you have to take personal... Like, we'll put Detect Magic on what we can, but there's the Reflect Fire Arcane, so Fire Mages, if you can't see what ability they have, odds are, if you Pyroblast, you're going to kill yourself. So, casters kind of have to be aware of this, but I feel like the main point here is tank. Like, this is our responsibility to... Like, there's only a few of these that we even really care about. The Shadow Bolt Volley, the Shadow Storm, Mana Burn, and Thunderclap. And that's basically just you can't just pick up one of the mobs and then wait for the call out, as soon as you know what it is, you need to be able to be correctly positioning that on the fly. And we'll kind of go over the tanks anyway. We'll go over like how we're going to be doing that.
And probably the kill order. I don't know if this movie goes over a kill order for this stuff.
It does not, but so the abilities that we care about are Thunderclap, Mortal Strike, Mana Burn, and Shadow Storm. And so those are the ones that we're going to kill last. Yeah. Preferably Shadow. Like if we have a Shadow Storm.
Can you say those ones again?
It's Thunderclap, Mortal Strike, Mana Burn, and Shadow Storm.
By Shadow Storm, do you mean the Shadow Bolt Volley?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually called Shadow Storm.
Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, but I just wanted to clarify for everybody.
Yep. So the Shadow Storm, it's just annoying because if one of the Anubis sets, the tank has to drag it right into the middle of all the casters and healers and stuff like that. Yeah. And so that would always be like the last kill target. But Thunderclap and Mana Burn are just ones where the tanks have to move them far away from the raid. Mortal Strike, obviously, it sucks. It puts stress on the healers. So
really the only bad combo is if the pack has Shadow Bolt Volley and Thunderclap.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that's going to be like annoying.
But even then, Thunderclap we have so many shaman healers that can just chain heal through. You guys will love it. So
our healers are pretty boss, so
pool.
Oh yeah.
Just cast Detect Magic on each of them to see which ability they have. But here's the catch. When one of them dies, all of the others heal to full, and they gain the ability of the one that died. So it's your raid's job to decide which one to kill first.
That little tidbit might be context as to why there's an order in which we kill these.
You probably won't get far in the raid. So thankfully the portal is right behind you, so you could just leave now, okay? You'll need to fight
We're not
two of these packs, and then
they missed one big thing about those packs. When you kill one of them, not only does it give the ability to the other three heal to full. So it's not like you can damage them all down to 10% and then burst them down.
He said that.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah.
They did? Okay, I only heard. Okay. So yes, they heal to full. So
but good to be reiterated.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, just clarifying.
Garum.
Yeah. First boss right here. The positioning that it's going to show is pretty spot on for what we're going to be doing.
Center of the room, and he has a 1-second cast time on his Arcane Explosion spell that can and should be interrupted. If the person with aggro on the boss is not in melee range, he will spam cast Earth Shock, which will quickly kill the player. So make sure the tank has threat at all times. He also casts a spell called True Fulfillment, and this is a mind control that makes the affected player very big and very dangerous, so be sure to polymorph them. The most important ability Scarum has is at 75, 50, and 25% health, he will split into 3 copies of himself. 2 of these copies are fake, and 1 is real. The fake copies have a very small health pool but can cast the same spells, so these copies spam casting Earthshock on your raid would not really be a good idea. So the melee in your raid need to split into 3 separate groups. 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Ideally, you'd have 2 tanks for each group in case one of the tanks gets mind controlled or 2 Scarum copies spawn on the same platform. Yes.
So during this fight, there's a lot going on. Obviously, like with the splits and everything, we're gonna have designated like callouts for like identifying like which ones are the copies so that we can burn those down really quick. I feel like it obviously like it's a good. Just like it's good, shows good positioning, but you're going to be very mobile during this fight. There's no reason for people to just be standing around unless it's a tank and the boss is at 51% or something. You know, like you're going to be moving around a lot. Kind of up where it shows the healers, you can jump on this ledge and stuff. Like especially that's good for mages, just so that you can have line of sight on if melee get mind controlled and stuff like that. But that, and we're also going to have warlocks assigned to put Curse of Tongues on the boss, and especially important when it splits. We're going to have like interrupt rotations with rogues and rogues and DPS warriors and stuff like that. It's the greater arcane protection potion. It can save you a little bit of damage, but that's why it's not 100. It's not totally necessary. And as long as tanks are doing their jobs, the same thing goes for the greater nature protection potions. But I mean, but if shit hits the fan, it could save your life. So
can you stun the new versions? No. Okay.
They act exactly like the regular boss, except for they have a lot less health.
Okay.
And supposedly, so raid markers weren't in when AQ40 was first released, but once raid markers were added to WoW, supposedly the marker stays on the real one after the split. So,
oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
The other.
So do we just want to nuke the copy?
Yes, you want to kill the copies first.
Yep.
Isn't there a way to detect it by draining mana?
Yes, yeah. So the copies will always form with full mana. So if you just drain like 5,000 mana from the real Scarum at the beginning of the fight, that's another way to do it.
Isn't I thought in phase 3 of the fight, after like 25%, you just focus him down, like you don't kill the ads.
I've always still killed the ads, but
yeah,
because they die so fast.
Yeah, they have considerably lower health pools than the actual boss, so they do die pretty quick. And it's just less work, you know, like if you're just trying to zerg after the 25% split, if you're just trying to zerg the true one, then you got how many DPS and tanks on the other platforms taking damage and having to interrupt constantly.
So ideally, so on the first split, so at 75 and 50%, the people on the platform with the real one have to make sure not to push them into another split before the other 2 die. Obviously, when on the last split at 25%, if you kill them before the other 2 die, that's fine. But yeah, so there's a slight difference in the last split, but
yeah, that's why I'm saying you can be very mobile during this fight. The bosses have a big hitbox, so you can kind of cheese it and stand in between them almost.
Yeah. So for ranged and healers, you're probably not moving very much this fight.
Yeah, definitely.
You're going to be given a side, and you're probably going to be jumping up onto the little ledge on the stairs, and there you're going to be able to reach the middle platform and the side that you're on, and that's pretty much where you're going to sit for this fight.
Yeah, I was going to assign mage positions to spread it out to keep it that way, so we don't have each other running back and forth. So.
Oh yeah, nobody should be running back and forth on the top unless for some reason everybody dies on one side.
And it'll help for if there's mages there that you'll have a regulated side to polymorph people when necessary.
Yep, we'll try and have designated people for polymorphs. on
Is the
either
only
side.
thing that will hit the healer, since they're out of range of the Earth Shock, is the only thing going to be the Earth Shock?
So that's the only thing the boss will do that will hit the healers. However, the mind-controlled people will also go to the healers. And I have personally had him mind control a rogue. The rogue vanished and went and came up the stairs and one-shot me. So.
Oh God!
Are they that much stronger when they're mind controlled?
I think they do 500%.
500%. I think.
That is so scary.
From the VODs,
Yeah.
from the VODs I've seen, this fight can get like really chaotic, really fast.
Yeah. If you if it's a melee that gets mind controlled, rogues don't hesitate to just tab blind or some shit. You know. Just to maybe try and avoid situations like that, but for the most part, mages should be able to cover it.
So as we're talking about stuff to do with mind controls, rogues should not be using blade flurry. Warriors shouldn't be whirlwinding. Hunters shouldn't be multi-shotting this fight, because that's one thing that will screw this fight over is people breaking sheeps. So just don't do multi-target abilities on this fight.
That can happen. Focus down the copies as fast as possible, make sure your tanks stay at their spots and maintain threat, and you should be good, and Scarum drops this loot.
Ooh, pretty. Ooh, purpose.
Shortly after the prophet's death, the doors of the temple slide open and you can venture inside. The inside of AQ40 is a labyrinth of caverns and alcoves that take a long time to navigate. Thankfully, trash mobs within the raid have a chance to drop Qiraji Battletech mounts that can be used to quickly navigate through the temple.
Alright, so I know that a lot of people want particular colors of this mount. In the beginning, for the first 40, we're not going to be rolling on them. We're going to be assigning them out in a very particular way. In general, it's like tanks and healers, and then non-mobile like melee and casters and stuff like that. And so in the beginning, you're just going to be given whatever we get at the time. Once we all have bug mounts and we've got AQ40 on farm, we can absolutely roll on particular colors. I know the red one is very coveted. So I'm sorry, in the beginning, we're going to do what we can just so that we can get everyone on a mount to make Cthulhu as easy as possible. Yeah, it'll come later. We'll be able to collect all the colors eventually.
So you're making just a list, and you're just going to go down that list.
So yes, I pretty much can have a list on the spreadsheet. As soon as I give somebody something, I delete them from the top of the list. And then
so when a red one drops, Gax ain't going to take it.
Hopefully, I'm not taking any of them.
He'll have a black one.
Hopefully.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, other guilds have to get 40 of these things. We only have to get 39. Suck on that.
Hopefully.
Admittedly, we also have to kill 14,000 bugs in a week.
Trash you will face at this point. These brainwashers should be your top priority as they remind the raid have a chance.
Honestly, we don't need to spend a ton of time on this. This is a very common trash pack that you'll see. It's so easy. Our DPS is so good that we're just gonna melt a lot of the trash.
Yeah, the red bugs. When you see these red bugs around, the one thing to know about them is when you're fighting them, you want to have your back to a wall when they die, because they punt people near them when they die.
Yep. So tanks, it's just on us to make sure that we just tank them with our back against a wall. We'll focus. Yeah, we'll focus the middle one. It just acts basically like a shadow priest. It mind flays, it mana burns, it mind controls, which again, be careful with cleaves and whirlwinds and stuff like that, so we don't kill our homies. Especially this early on when we are likely to still have world buffs. But again, the trash, it's really not all that much. These warriors, so they look exactly like the other ones, except just different color, the tan ones. These ones, they don't do the charge, but when they die, they summon a
15.
whole bunch. How many is it?
15.
15. They summon 15 of these little non-elite borers, and like mages, if you're standing in there and you'll get insta-gibbed. If you try and
you should pop a lip or flame strike blast wave them as they die. A lot of times will kill them, or pop a lip.
Yep. Trust me. I rate it as a mage. Drink the lip. it's a lot cheaper and a lot less frustration than losing all your world buffs because you get killed faster than you can even press a fucking global. So, but for the most part, again, really easy. A lot of the I think there's like 1 or 2 trash mobs in this whole raid that cleave. So for the majority of all of the trash, we're just going to be stacking them up and cleaving them down.
There's quite a few, but they all look the same. Pretty much all the stupid mini Sarturas cleave in Whirlwind.
Right.
And then the champions. I think that's it.
Yeah. So the trash, the little Sartura ads that you'll encounter before Hoo and on Sartura, of course, and then the trash leading up to Cthulhu. Okay, I'll just let the video
of the raid.
Tell you.
These bugs can be killed in any order you'd like, and all 3 of them have unique abilities, so let's go over. Lord Kier is going to be the most dangerous of the 3. He has a cleave, so face him away from your raid. He also has a toxic volley that will place a poison dot on your whole raid that stacks and needs to be dispelled, and when he dies, he spawns a poison cloud that you should not stand in. Princess Yanju has an AoE fear
when
for
he says
people
don't
in
stand
melee
in
range.
It beyond like don't stand in it when he dies. Get out. Melee should get out before he dies. The cloud ticks for like I think it's like 4,500 damage. So
yeah, it's
get
pretty
the hell
massive.
away from
It's
him.
not it's not like Gar where we say melee out and then everyone stays in because they like seeing themselves fly across the room. No, you'll die.
Yeah.
There's a video on YouTube that I could link somebody of people somebody who killed Kree last. People go up to try to loot their insignia and they're dead before they could even open the loot window.
That's my favorite.
Is his poison AoE pretty big? Like if it spawns right underneath you and you're in the middle, are you going to be able to get out?
So that's why I said the poison cloud only spawns when he dies. So
okay.
So the only people who should be and it spawns under him pretty much. It comes out of his carapace when he dies pretty much. So just don't be near him when he dies, or make sure to get out.
Yep.
If you're tanking him.
And the AoE poison volley, it does some damage, but for the most part you can rely on shamans and
it's a stacking dot, so that's one of the reasons why generally it's considered easiest to kill Kree first, so it doesn't stack too high, and then it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I'll let the video play out for the other 2 bugs, but just keep it with what Gax said. We are going to be killing Kree first. We're basically just going to be killing them in the order that the video shows them.
That you should not stand in. Princess Yanju has an AoE fear for people in melee range that wipes aggro even if you resist it with a Fear Ward or a Berserker's Rage. Ideally, you'd want a tank that is out of range of this AoE fear, just waiting for it to go off so they can swoop in and grab the boss.
Think about the death guards in BWL.
It can be interrupted.
Or you throw target dummies.
That works too. But we'll probably just for the most part, I don't remember what the cooldown is on the fear. Like DBM shows it, so you can kind of anticipate when it's going to be coming. But if in theory the warrior that's tanking her should be able to just stance the fear, and then as soon as the fear goes out, you're still going to lose threat, but she's tauntable. So you just slap a taunt before she runs away, and then we'll have a secondary tank standing away out of range of the fear so that he can pick it up in case the main tank messes up or doesn't resist the fear or some shit like that.
And upon death, she will summon a bunch of small adds. Vem is the easiest as he just has a charge and a knockback ability, and you can cheese him by tanking him in one of the alcoves in the room so he doesn't charge random players. In fact, you can use this strategy for Princess Yanju too, but you just need to make sure that your tank isn't LOSing the healers in the process. If Vem is the last bug standing, he will enrage, and upon death, he will enrage the 2 other bugs. So no matter what order you kill them, you will be dealing with a pissed off bug at the end of the fight. The strategy for these bosses is pretty simple. You just focus them down one at a time and make sure you're cleansing poisons and you should be good. But here's the catch. The loot tables are different for whatever boss you kill last. Most people want to kill Lord Kier last, as he drops the best loot, but it's also the most difficult route to take,
agree.
because he's dealing a bunch of
Healing wand.
increased damage to the tanks, because Vem is dead, and Kier isn't raid.
The reason...
So if your raid can't handle...
The reason...
And this is the loot that they all share. Princess last, she drops this loot. If you kill Vem last, he drops the...
There we go. That's why we're killing Vem last. That's why we're going straight to this boss after Scarum, and instead of continuing on with like the required bosses, which would be Sartura. It's... Oh my god, they're juicy.
Is that a tank and DPS item?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like chromatic. Their chromatic boots, they're slightly worse. They have 4 extra stam, but 6 less agility from chromatic boots.
Okay.
So. Yep. And you saw how much chromatic boots went for on Thursday. So you know why we're trying to get these.
Very, very good. I don't think they get replaced.
Well, the chromatic boots are BIS for the whole game. Boots of the Fallen Hero are second BIS.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't replace them.
So once all of our warriors have these, then we can consider changing up the order and starting to get some other stuff.
Chromatic, yeah. Until then.
Can you look at the others?
Yeah.
This loot.
So that's Kree.
Yeah. So yeah, I know Arctos probably wants the chest.
He's got a Durkin.
Purple healing wand. Purple healing wand.
Well, yeah.
No, and so here's the thing. That wand would be all like DPS caster prio. So we'd have to kill it enough for all of them to get it before, and then healers.
But even then, it's still only 1 up from Touch of Chaos, which is ZG. And
well, it has 6
chance on this too.
And plus the 5 stam. Yeah.
This is the loot, the princess specific loot.
Yeah, that's
it's really only the rank.
Well, those gloves though, look at that nature resist too.
Yeah, it's the resist gear that you get from Yaj.
And there's Mage's second best in slot
Princess
shoulders.
last, she drops this loot.
Scarab trinket is
If you kill Vem last, he drops this loot.
And then the shit that we're probably going to see regardless is all of
You get one, I believe you get 1 unique item and 1 global item each kill.
Oh god, I hope so.
Share. Work your way through the tunnel filled with guardians, and you'll find the next boss, Battle Guard Satura. Be careful though, because she has an incredibly large aggro radius.
Everything in here has a huge aggro radius.
Chaos if not managed correctly. Sartura and her adds will randomly fixate on targets throughout the fight for 5 seconds, and then return back to the person with the highest aggro. This, coupled with their whirlwind abilities, can spell disaster for the ranged in your raid. Because of this, you'll want your party spread out in a taunt rotation for warriors so they can keep Satura in the same spot during these fixate moments.
Yeah, target dummies are super helpful here. Warriors, you're going to be expected to throw on shields and taunt.
Do you know if Grounding Totem would taunt her instead of somebody else?
No.
I doubt it.
Grounding Totem just... it wouldn't. Fixate is not a debuff. It's just no. I think he wanted to know if Grounding Totem would absorb like a debuff for fixate.
So I don't think it's
not something that's cast on you.
Okay.
So Grounding Totem won't do anything.
But yeah, but basically how this these ads are going to die really quick, especially if we focus fire and if we can keep them under control. The thing that causes this fight to get hectic is taunts resisted or not enough backup tanks not being able to pick it up. If we can keep them all in one, you probably don't want to stack them because of the whirlwind, obviously. But if we can just single target and burst them down real quick, then it becomes very, very easy.
I'm sure it's going to.
Do you want us to bring target dummies for this fight?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not. We're not going to require it by any means.
Is that an engineer thing?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
it's there and taunts everything around him.
So I know Gax mentioned it, or how he always brings a stack of lips, but he can't even remember the last time he used one. That is very, very good for the fights, for this fight in particular. They're going to be running around all over the place, fixating on random people. They're going to be fixating while whirlwinding. Clothies, you can take probably two hits of it, and then you'll be dead.
Whirlwind does I think it does 1400 on plate. So yeah,
these ads can get stunned too, right?
They can while they're not spinning.
shots and
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, if they're spinning, then they can't be stunned. And so, what was it? Kidney shot doesn't operate on same diminishing returns as like charge or intercept, right?
Yeah, it's a flat duration.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, it'll just be when they stop spinning, you just stun lock the hell out of them, burst them down, and should be pretty easy.
Come on over here. Come on over here. No, you flipped me off. Come on, coward. No. Come on. You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
When her and her ads are not spinning around, they are susceptible to stun, so your raid should try and keep them stunned as much as possible, and this will also help your melee DPS not take as much damage from the whirlwinds. Her 3 ads will need to be tanked by 3 tanks and faced against the wall away from the raid to counter their knockback ability.
And also, I think this is the area.
That's where you come in.
Oh, that's where you come in. So it's off screen, off to the right. The bug tunnel is immediately after this boss, and we need to stay the fuck away from it. So honestly, like this video showing these tank spots is spot on. As we walk in,
I'd like them split up a little more so they don't whirlwind each other. But yeah.
Right, of course.
But yeah, on this side of the room.
Yeah, it's just imperative that you stay away from the bug tunnel, because you pull one bug, you pull a ton of bugs.
Ability that they have. Killing the ads first will be your first priority. Lastly, Sartura will apply a Sunder effect on the tanks and enrage at 20% health. This fight's main focus is just to keep the boss and her ads under control during their aggro wipes, work together as a team to control them, and you should be good. And she drops this loot.
Our hunter's not something that can stop.
To get to the next boss, you'll face the
No, it's not a frenzy. It's an enrage.
So right after Sartura is the bug tunnel that people have compared to the suppression room in BWL. There's nothing slowing you besides like bugs and daze, like the daze effect that they.
The soldiers, even with that, their melee attacks just slow you. It's beyond daze.
I thought it just hit tanks. But anyway, we're just going to be going through that. Tanks.
Whoever they hit, it's their melee attacks will just slow you.
Yeah, me and Coughlin are just going to run through with some reflect gear and like force reactive disc and stuff like that. We're going to charge through, try and round up as many bugs as we can, burst them all down. I know that we said that before with BWL with the suppression room, and we just kind of wing it. We just kind of kill everything as we go through. But in this situation, it is going to be kind of important that we hold off on damaging. We just group up. We can probably grab like 2, maybe 3 groups of bugs with the soldiers, and then we just AoE them all, burst them all down, and we're just going to get through that way.
Think of this kind of like the suppression room from BWL,
Totems
except it's a mile long and it sucks.
Definitely not.
Even more. At the end of the gauntlet is the next boss, Frankus the Bower. But the problem is that he has an incredibly large aggro radius. In vanilla World of Warcraft, this spot here was the safe spot.
So this safe spot worked on every single private server I ever played. I can't imagine why it would not work on Classic. But, you know.
If it doesn't, Fankers is piss easy, so. If
yeah.
you need to pull him, then it probably is not too big of a
aggro
deal.
the boss or the scarabs. I'm assuming that in Classic it will be the exact same way. So now you can drink up, buff up, and get ready to pull the boss. First off, Frankus has Mortal Wound, which is a cleave that also applies reducing healing stacks, so face him away from the raid and tank swap when stacks get to.
I kind of think our DPS is going to be good
We
enough.
don't need to tank swap.
Yeah,
Even
we
if
probably
do. He's tauntable, so.
Yeah, there's going to have to be some things going wrong for us to require a tank swap, but our DPS is good enough that we should just blast this.
Too high. During this fight, hatchlings will spawn from these big buttholes, so you'll need an off-tank to round them up so they can be quickly AoE'd down. When
That's
these hatchlings spawn, a random player will also get entangled in webs and teleported to the entrance of one of these bug tunnels. Healers need to be aware of this because these players take heavy damage.
Yep.
Lastly, the most important ad you'll need to kill are these worms called the spawn of Fankris. 1 to 3 of these worms will spawn, and after 15 to 25 seconds, they will enrage and start one-shotting members of your raid. They can be stunned and should be quickly dispatched as
When he
fast
says
as
one
possible.
shot, it's a literal
With
one
another
shot.
easy
Hit
boss
like
down,
15k
he
when
drops
they're
this
ranged.
loot.
So.
Enter the gaping chasm on the left side of the room.
So we're gonna keep watching. We'll watch this part because the next part is about Vicious. But this all depends on how many engineers we got. I know that our numbers have been looking really good lately, so it more than likely we will be trying to kill this bot. I don't think we're gonna skip it. The loot is
There's two bits items. There's 2 items you want from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably go.
But,
and a token.
Yeah, but again, this is reliant on having like if people miss raids or if people drop engineering for some strange reason, like that's.
If this boss becomes an issue, then then it's one that we'll be skipping, and mages and warlocks are not going to be happy.
Yep.
And travel up the ramp, and we can face the most unique but annoying boss, which is Viscidus. Viscidus is like most bosses in the raid, in the fact that he has a poison volley that he'll cast on the raid, and he'll create clouds that are, well, you guessed it, it's poison. But here's the catch. In order to damage this boss, you will need to freeze him. To freeze him, he will need to be hit by 200 frost damaging attacks. It doesn't matter how much damage these attacks do, there just needs to be 200 of them. So frost wands, frost oil on weapons, rank 1 frost bolts, your whole raid needs to work together to freeze him.
Worse than one.
When Viscidus is frozen, he'll need to be shattered by having your raid perform 75 melee attacks on him. After that, he will explode into 20 slimes around the edge of the room. Each of these slimes represent 5% of his health and slowly move towards the center of the room and form into Viscidus once again.
They don't
this
move
part
slowly.
is where
I don't know
your
why
raid.
he's saying
Yeah, they start
fast.
out moving slowly and then they come in really quick.
I think he does say that though.
Okay.
Okay.
He does say that
You
they
need to do
basically
as
go
much
really
damage
fast.
as possible to these slimes. If a slime is damaged but not killed, that will not transfer into damage on the boss. If you are a part of a pro gamer guild that all has engineering, having everybody use sapper charges when the slimes get really close to each other will be ideal. Do all that and he should be dead, and he drops this loot.
Must have been a different video, but yeah.
Yeah, so they start slow and then they start going really fast at the end. So it's something that you're going to have to learn. The timing of your sappers and blast
should
waves.
Should the shamans be throwing some rank 1 frost shocks down?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Okay.
On cooldown in between GCD, like in between.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Gax, you're saying it's better to use a frost wand than rank 1 frost bolt?
Because rank 1 frostbolt, well, one, it's even if you're talented, so you're like it's a 1 second cast, it's still in the GCD, so you can't do it more than every 1.5 seconds. And 2, it suffers pushback where your wand does not.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. This is one of those big fights that we're asking people to get to bring the
elixir of poison resistance.
Yes, those. So this poison bolt volley, it has an initial impact damage. When it hits you, it is resistible. But when it hits you, you take some damage, and then you just like it shows every 2 seconds, and it is a lot of damage.
It's like 2,000 damage. So.
We have 6 shamans in our raid, so in theory, 6 of the 8 groups could rely on the poison cleansing totem, but honestly, I don't want people to be relying on that. I want people to have those elixirs because you can just they trigger the elixir the 5-second elixir cooldown, so you can use them every single time you're hit by it. Because the raid composition, the groups are going to change up from week to week, and so maybe 1 week you're in a group with shaman and it's nice, and you only have to use 1 elixir or something, but then. I don't want people to get lazy, and next week when they don't have a shaman, they're taking exponentially more damage than they should be.
And so I know there's people going around, there's people talking right now that the elixir poison resistance says on it that it cures you of poisons up to level 60, so they're saying it won't work on Vicious. I actually
really?
So I tested on Chromag last week. I used one of them when I got Chromag's poison, and it cured that one. So It should work.
Should we use Nature's Resist gear on this fight as well? Because it's not like we're trying to do damage.
As melee, what you want to do is you want to, if you're not tanking him, so not you want to wear your 9% hit, probably ideally 9% hit gear, and then the rest of your gear can be nature resistance.
Yeah, you definitely want to be hitting the boss as much as possible to get those frost procs.
Yes.
So the hit cap, #1 importance, and then at that point, the damage you're taking is negligible if you're drinking the elixirs or if you're getting that shit cleansed off. And so at that point, it's just go stack resistance, go ham.
And obviously, weapons still are being tested for this fight, but the current testing shows that both Cold Rage and Hammer of the Northern Winds have an internal cast time on their proc, and so you don't want to use it.
Oh, so both of them.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're pretty much auto attacking Slice and Dice, and queuing Heroic Warriors. Other than O, the only thing that you should be using your Rage on is Heroic Strike, pretty much on this fight. Just keep all your swings on the yellow attack. Iceblade Hacker is most likely not going to work. I see that in the guild chat.
I mean, 200 isn't that much. If you have...
It can freeze in generally 30 to 45 seconds. Will be freeze time.
Cast on the raid. Form into Viscida loot.
Okay, there's loot.
Backtrack back, go to the large entrance in front of you and keep pushing forward. On your travels to the next boss, you'll face some more difficult trash. These wasp packs come with these lashers, which are basically little sarturas that will fixate random members of your raid. These wasps have a poison called Catalyst Poison that will need to be dispelled quickly. That is because a member of your raid that has
that's literally the hardest part, is having a hunter pull one group at a time.
All the way back to Fankris's room.
Yeah.
Poison on them.
And to dispel the poison before somebody gets one shot.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. We'll kill the spinner, we'll kill the Sartura ad first, just so that we don't have to deal with it and they die so quick. And then it's basically just be on top of your depoisons and people won't die. In fact, they give you so the first dot or debuff that they put on is just an itch. It doesn't even deal damage, it can't dispel it, but after 10 seconds then they get the poison. So if you can see debuffs on your raid frames, you get a 10-second warning before someone even gets the poison, in which case you can just pop it right off them. It's super easy.
And annoying enemies, now it's time to face Princess Huhuran. Huhuran is a fight that is hard and fast. The catch is that nature resistance is very, very important for this fight, especially for melee. Huhuran has an ability called Poison Bolt. This is an AoE spell that afflicts the 15 closest people. She will also cast Wyvern Sting on the 10.
Wyvern Sting. That is the reason why shamans are not allowed to use poison resistance totem, or the poison cleansing totem.
On this fight.
Yes, I know it puts extra work. You have to I think druids have the abolish, which ticks and removes stuff, but I don't know if shamans do. So I know it puts extra work on you guys, but you can fuck a healer's day up if you cleanse that poison off them.
Is that a poison or a sleep?
It's a poison that puts you to sleep. It's unknown.
So people have talked about. I don't remember seeing this. It was never a strat I used on private servers, but people have talked about the possibility of tremor totem. Of using a tremor totem, the pulse from a tremor totem, to wake them up without removing the actual poison effect and taking the damage. I don't know. I have no idea if it's going to work.
We'll obviously know before we go into AQ40 whether or not that's a strategy that's reliable. We're not going to go in day one, so we'll obviously be out there before we go in.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
So yeah, just keep that in mind.
Nearest targets, which will put them to sleep, but if it's dispelled, it will deal 3,000 damage, so only dispel it on your tanks. And oh yeah, tanks will also have to deal with her Acid Spit ability, a stacking dot that will require you to have 2 tanks. During this fight, your melee will play as the meat shield for these abilities. They'll need to be stacked with nature resistance potions and gear to survive this onslaught of damage, so your ranged DPS can focus on killing Huhuran. But that doesn't mean that range doesn't have problems too. Noxious Poison is a dot that will be placed on a random player and silences them for 8 seconds. This poison spreads to other players.
You can drink that off with an elixir of poison resistance. It's broken. It's like healers, if you get hit by that and you get silenced, you just drink the elixir and you're not silenced anymore. It's ridiculous. That's why that elixir is so busted in this raid.
around you, so your raid.
And this is actually the less busted
Lastly,
version
she
of
will
the
periodically go into a frenzy, which needs to be removed by a hunter with a trank shot. At 30%, things will
originally
go
they
wild, and
nerfed
she
it because it was too
permanently enrages and
overpowered in
starts
AQ.
dealing massive damage. DPS will
The
also
original
need to
version
deal
just made you
massive
immune to
damage, but
poisons
also
for 2
keep track
minutes.
of their aggro
Oh my
and
God.
kill her
What?
as fast as possible.
Yep.
Kuhuran is one of the more difficult bosses
Before
in this
like
raid. If you
1.11.
manage to kill her, she drops this loot.
For mages, save
Down the
cooldowns for
hallway
burn
to the next
phase.
boss, you'll face these Anubisat defenders. These are the same mobs you fight before the last boss in AQ20.
Yeah.
These are the
Meteor.
4 different abilities
They're
they
so
can possibly
easy.
have, and
It's
possible that
Yeah,
they
you
can-
either
it's
you
basically
either,
it's basically just a positioning fight. Like
Yeah.
that's all you really have to worry about. I mean, mages you have to worry about killing yourself with the reflect.
It's
But
either
we just
well, so pretty much it's Meteor or both Meteor and Plague. You stack, and if you get Plague, then you run out of the stack. Shadowbolt Volley, you stack under him. Thunderclap, you stack away from him. Enrage, you just kill him. Explode, you run away when he's going to die. There you go.
yeah, it's so easy, and we'll be calling it out. You'll learn it like it'll be second nature by the second clear.
Magic. Just use detect magic on them. Make
And
sure
plus
your
you
raid
can
is
practice. We'll
flexible,
practice on
you can
AQ20
adapt to
on
these
Wednesday.
abilities, and just listen to your raid leader because these can be more difficult than some bosses.
False.
As you approach the next boss, the foulest stench is in the air. The funk of 40,000 years.
This is no
For
Thunder
no
Fury in this
mere
room.
mortal can
Yes.
resist
Oh.
Nobody
the
can use
evil
Thunder Fury in this
of the
room.
Twin Emperors.
Well, it's literally pointless because the physical
When you
guy's
want be
immune
starting
to
something,
the
you are
Thunder
going
Fury
to
proc
need to
anyway.
pull these bosses to the edge of the room over here. It's very important that you keep the twins split because they will heal each other if they get too close.
And by the way, this heal is not like the Ebon Rock heal. This is like they heal. They heal for it's like 200,000 damage a second or something that they heal.
It's huge. It's bad.
Raid are going to be traversing down. He has an ability called Unbalancing Strike, which will inflict high damage and increase the tank's chance to be crit. He has a knockback that will target a random member in melee range, so face him near a wall. And lastly, Vecnalash will mutate bugs around the room and make them big. These need to be grabbed by an op-tank and focused down, or there will surely be blood on the dance floor.
So those should be those big bugs. I know that they're so typically we'll have a tank, kind of multiple tanks chilling in the melee group, and they'll just pick them up and kind of drag them into the melee group so that they can be cleaved down. But it's not like a focus the boss and cleave the we got to kill these because we can get overrun by bugs.
Yeah.
And casters as well. I know that you're going to be focusing the other Twin Emperor that actually takes damage from spells. It's important that if you're in range, you switch targets and you get these things down.
Yeah, there's other big bugs that you do different things for that we'll see in a second.
Also, Vecnalash cannot be damaged by magical spells, so casters, you will be attacking his brother, Veclor. Veclor will explode the bugs around the room that do AoE damage. He also casts a blizzard that you shouldn't stand in, and he casts a shadow bolt and an arcane burst that he uses on people in melee range that blows them back. So that makes him pretty difficult to tank, right? Well, that is...
So in I don't know if it said, but you have 3 seconds. When he detonates a bug, you have 3 seconds to get away from it. Blast radius is pretty big, and it can kill you. And that's why we're not going to require it, obviously, but I would highly recommend for casters and healers, drink a greater fire and a greater frost protection potion before this fight. It can
greater
save
fire protection potions are going to be piss cheap because the transmute comes out. So like I have enough for like 500 elemental fire or something just from the stupid transmute. The potions are going to be stupid cheap.
You can have more than one greater protection on?
Yes, you can, but you just have to drink them ahead of time because
it's a 2-minute cooldown from once you drink one, but they last an hour. So you can drink all of them.
I've been a caster in this fight, and I've died like a scrub to both the blizzard and bugs blowing up.
Both of them, yeah.
all of those times I could have lived if I had drank
both of them. And also, this isn't something like, oh, there's only a quarter of a second left on my fireball cast. I'm going to finish this and then move out. No, you see a blizzard on you or a bug near you, you get the fuck out. you cancel whatever spell you're casting and you just get out.
Yep. And this is, I know that most people are already aware, but this is why we have warlocks building shadow resistance, and is so that they can tank this dude.
That's why Veclor needs to be tanked.
So I know O might have thoughts on this as well, but you have to make sure before the teleport happens, you don't have any dots rolling on him, which means Ignite cannot be on the boss when he teleports.
And they need to not stop till they get enough threat. Also, Veclor is a...
So something that it talks about here, obviously, warlocks, you guys know what you're doing already, I know. As far as, but I am gonna kind of expect, I'm gonna want the warlock tanks to be vocal, to be able to speak up in Discord, because I want you guys to be able to. I don't want any DP, any ranged, any casters. I don't want anybody casting on this boss until the warlock that is tanking the boss says that to go ahead.
Yeah.
Because if you if you get some, like if your first 3 searing pains are partial resists or something like that, then you don't want your mages popping cooldowns and going ham. You don't want the other warlocks going ham. So it's kind of, it's going to be a judgment call on the warlock tank side. And so but I mean, if you start off and you get a crit, like two crits on your first 2 searing pains, you tell DPS to go ham, because you know you've got it, you know you'll have that lead.
And what I was finishing my thought, my suggestion would be for at least while we're learning, while people are getting used to the rotation, for mages, even though you're fire, to not use fire spells on this boss, just to make sure there's no ignite or fireball dot on the boss when he teleports.
What about hots on tanks and?
I mean, yeah, obviously that stuff, but
yeah, that's going to be hard to avoid.
Yeah,
but that is also why. So during the switch, obviously there's going to be a warlock tank on each side, but there is also going to be a physical tank on each side. And even on the side where the caster is going to be teleporting to, that way the warlock or that warrior can just kind of run in, demo shout, taunt it, whatever, just so that it doesn't move right away. Because in theory, as soon as it teleports,
demo shout does anything to him, because I think that's a physical debuff. But taunt should.
Yeah, that something to generate threat before he runs off to whatever healer.
Yeah, he does generate some they do generate some proximity threat to the people closest to them as well, so that should be able to outdo any healing.
Yeah, that'll more than likely be me and Blight. And Blight, so this guy, when we still want to be there when he teleports into that spot, just so that we can try and get his attention so that he doesn't move. But it is kind of sketchy. It's hard to see. You can see over here how it's kind of at an incline, this ramp here. So if you're positioned kind of, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse cursor on
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect. So if you're positioned kind of around here, you might get, he'll knock you back into this corner and you might get stuck there, and then you're line of sighting your healers, and so you can still do the job, keep him in the spot, but kind of positioned off, so anticipate the arcane blast, the knockback. Don't get yourself trapped in there, otherwise healers can't heal you, and then he's going to arcane blast every other second, and it's a recipe for disaster. So
I've always used slightly different positioning than this, but we could go with this one. So
I'm down to hear it.
So the positioning I've always used is healers are kind of more in the center of the room, kind of towards the scarab, and then kind of instead of being on the ramp side of the boss right here where these 2 warlocks are, they're kind of just, I'll call this southeast of, for the one on the right. He's like kind of southeast of him. We've kind of done like northeast of him. And then because then pretty much whenever the tank then the tanks can just run back out towards the healers, the physical ones, once the magic guy has been kind of picked up there. So that's all. But there isn't really a good diagram for that, but that's just kind of the one that I've always done.
We can give it a whirl.
The stairs more traditional, I know.
Yeah, if we can give it a whirl, if we don't have luck with this one, with this strategy, I don't know, I mean, I guess there's bugs all over the room, doesn't really matter.
The bugs wander everywhere.
Yeah.
I guess it does. It probably means that, but
anyway,
it leaves it there being one healing group rather than 2 is the benefit.
Veclor, and they need to not stop till they get enough threat. Also, Veclor is immune to melee damage. Every 30 to 40 seconds, the twins will teleport and swap sides. 5 to 10 seconds
Can you
before
pause
this,
it real
your
quick?
melee will
Yeah.
He mentioned something important. So I don't know if there's anyone in here that did this fight on private servers, but there's one major thing that private servers did wrong. Private servers had them teleporting on an exact interval, so you would know exactly when the teleport was going out. But in Classic, and what it was in Vanilla, is it was a window where they can teleport. So generally, you just leave as soon as the window opens.
Yep.
So you won't have a timer that says they're teleporting in 3 seconds. You'll say it will be they can teleport anywhere from 3 to 18 seconds from now.
Yep. Better to get out early rather than take an arcane, like have the whole melee group take arcane blast.
Running over to the other side. This is because 1, Veclor can't take melee damage, so they would be useless, and 2, after the teleport, the twins will have threat on whoever is closest to them, which should be the tanks. Now, despite Veclor being very unfriendly to melee, you'll want a tank to grab that initial threat from the teleport, and then the Warlock tank will pull the threat from the normal tank, and then that tank can run away.
Can we pause it for a second?
Yeah, of course.
Just based on where I see the healers standing and that tank that grabs the initial threat, I'm seeing potential LOS.
Well, so yeah, so they put them like here, like when you do the ramp strat, you're kind of standing on the far edges of the top of the stairs. So just like here, you see the little green circle, the top part of it, right there. Yeah, so pretty much take the one on the right should be all the way over to the right side of this top of the stairs, and the ones on the left all the way over to the left.
I'm just putting that out there for tanks, really.
Yeah. So
we're
healer positionings. This is one. Obviously, we're going to be talking more about healer stuff after this, but
yeah, the only time the tanks like we shouldn't really have any issues with line of sight. In general, I was just I don't know like.
Well, so with this positioning, you would have issues with how they're showing it here. The healers are way too close to the center of the stairs. They have to be over towards the edges.
Well, I mean, you can't be too literal with it. There's only 2 symbols for healers.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
We're gonna have a little bit more.
That's what I was saying. Is nobody's really in the middle of the stairs.
Run away. Rinse and repeat this dance of swapping threat and maintain communication.
Yeah, this is them taking them in a different spot too, right at the base of where they are at the start. One thing I don't remember him mentioning, they have a shared health pool, so it's not like one ranged or physical have to keep up with each other. Damage to one is damage to a shared health pool.
Yep. So they'll always die at the same time. Nice and easy.
So the Zugzugs will still take 25 warriors.
In the whole instance. To play it safe, you should pull each pack into the room that you killed the twins in. These packs are mostly just combinations of adds that you've killed previously in the raid, but they're still extremely deadly. Your first priority should be these Mind Slayers. These are the guys that have the Mind Flay and the Mind Control. Also, when they die, they do a drain mana and a fear for anybody close to them, so they should be pulled away.
This is the exact opposite of what Salvador said.
So the fear, when they die, he calls it a fear.
It's not a fear. It's like
you can't break out of it.
You know what the core hounds do, where they make you all kind of wander around and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like that.
Yeah. So I know he calls it a fear, but you can't berserker rage it. You can't tremor it. It sucks. So everyone's just got to get away from them before they die.
Is that mana burn AoE too, or is it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it's a huge mana burn also.
So yeah. So basically, you try and stay at max range as much as you can.
Yep. Okay.
These need to be tanked far away from casters because of their AoE silence, and they will enter a frenzy that needs to be removed by hunters with Trank Shot. Lastly, they will also knock back the tank, which wipes aggro. Your last priority are these Qiraji champions. They also have a knockback and an AoE fear, and enrage, so they should be dispelled. The other packs you'll face here are
the fear. So on these guys, the frenzy, it can be Trank Shotted, but the champions, these guys, their fear or their frenzy, it's a magic effect. So priests and priests can dispel it, shamans can purge it. but hunters don't have to worry about it.
We fear and enrage, so they should be dispelled. The other packs you'll face here are the nullifiers and the
These ones are aids. They're super aids.
Yes.
These nullifiers are the same ones you
not these ones. They're super easy. Our DPS will be fine for those. It's these big guys.
Need to be tanked far away from everybody else because they have these abilities. But once the nullifiers are dead, they should be pretty easy.
Ugh. He says pretty easy.
They're not.
But it requires the tank. Like we're going to be tanking them kind of around a corner so that the entire raid can step out of line of sight.
And we're going to have Blight. We definitely have Blight tank them.
Yes.
This guy.
Yeah.
There's 2 of these packs in each of the rooms pretty much, and they have an enormous aggro radius. So most wipes are just somebody. The fear goes on the tank, and he aggroes the other pack. So. Undead tank, they just will have Forsaken Saphir. Let's go.
Yep, easy peasy. But yeah, it does do like the Dust Cloud. It says reduces hit. It also deals damage. So it's not like you can just brute force your way through it.
Yeah, it is so pretty much that second ability is the either I'm fucking over the casters or I'm fucking over the melee ability.
Yep.
Either melee can't hit me or casters are silenced.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where there's a lot of like DBM will show you the timers like cooldowns on when they can use their abilities again, and you're just it's gonna be a lot, but there's gonna be like a groove, like a rhythm that you can kind of get into, kind of like what Gak said. One of them fucks the heal, one of them fucks casters, one of them fucks melee, and so you'll kind of get I'm good, like as a caster I'm good, or the melee like that you kind of learn how to dance in and out of line of sight. It does take some getting used to. It's very difficult trash.
Does their fear have a channel like Neff, so I can go into Berserker Rage if they double fear?
No.
Or is it just kind of an effect that happens?
It doesn't have a cast time, so you'll basically just have to be watching the timer for it, and then
you're probably going to have to be retroactively Will of Forsakening when you get feared.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, but
the fear
timer sometimes you have to still get in a Berserker Rage.
Yeah, at least on from my memory, like the time, like they were pretty consistent with the timer. So like when there was 2 seconds left, you could stance Berserker Rage, and then go back, and you should be fine. But it is not a cast time the way Nefarian's is.
Gotcha.
At least that's I'm not 100% on that. That's just my memory.
Devin just Tremor Totem Bob.
Yes, you should have a Tremor Totem down in the groups if they're doing the fears, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have these abilities. But once the nullifiers are dead, they should be pretty easy. Carefully work your way through these packs, hold left, and you can face the second to last boss, which is Oro, who is... Where the hell is he? Oro's primary ability.
This is an optional boss, so
depending
on how things go.
I think we probably do them because, assuming the teleporters are in, this is what unlocks the teleport to straight to Cthulhu. So you don't have to re-clear that trash every time.
Ability that stuns everybody in front of him for 5 seconds, so it's very important that you have at least 2 tanks for this fight. During the encounter, Oro will burrow back.
Yeah, the video's kind of quiet.
And you'll need to dodge his Quake ability. This is signified by a bunch of flying. Sandblast is another dangerous ability that stuns everybody in front of him for 5.
I don't know this, like how the exact definition of this terminology here, where it says hemisphere. But I do remember that when we would have our tanks on like high on threat, and then if like mages or if so, like the ignite mage, or if someone was coming up in threat, if they were pretty high, they would stand away from the group because the sandblast will target someone and it'll hit everyone around them.
Well, that's a different ability. The sandblast is just his. Wait. Yeah, this is just his like spin around thing.
No, that's
knocks people away.
No, I think I may have paused it at a weird time, but I think they already covered that.
Yeah,
Oro's primary ability is Sweep. It's a cleave attack that will knock back anybody who is hit by it. So face him away from a raid, and a tank is going to need to use Intercept to charge back into the fight midair.
if you're a Fury tank, you're not going to be able to do that. So we're just going to have a tank, kind of like Ragnaros. We'll just have a tank be standing out of range of the knockaway to just kind of move in. I believe the boss is tauntable, so it'll just that tank will move in, taunt him.
No, Oro's not tauntable.
Oh, he's not.
No, Oro is not tauntable.
I've heard guilds use the ferals for this because they don't have to switch to charge back in.
Oh, good thing we've got an Arctos.
Yeah. So
So if we so Blight does have tactical mastery, so in theory he could do it as well. But Arctos doesn't even have to. He doesn't have to worry about he doesn't have to stance or anything. He can just charge right in. So that's perfect. Perfect time to have him tank.
You also see this. He has a huge hit. So Oro has an enormous hitbox, like probably the biggest hitbox in the game. So it shows people like standing like right on him. Oh, actually, you can see the two melee. They're standing way far away. That's where melee should probably be standing because they can still hit the boss from back there.
Blast is another dangerous ability that stuns everybody in front of him for 5 seconds, so it's very important that you have at least 2 tanks for this fight. During the encounter, Oro will burrow back into the ground, and you'll need to dodge his Quake ability. This is signified by a bunch of flying rocks on the ground, and during this time, scarabs will also spawn that need to be rounded up and killed. Make sure your raid stays spread, as when Oro re-emerges, he will deal damage to anybody above him. When the boss reaches 20% health is when
the little rock things it says to dodge, they fixate on 3 people. There's 3 of them. There's 3 little regions, and they fixate on individual people in the raid in the group. And in one particular burrow phase, they'll never change who they're fixated on. So once we figured out who they're following, it's very easy to dodge them.
Does it announce who it's following, or do you have to figure it out?
No, you have to figure it out.
Okay,
so that
cool.
you kind of generally spread out like towards the walls, just kind of just make a big circle and figure out, okay, where are they going to? And then okay, that person.
You don't think DBM would tell you who he's targeting?
No, because there's no way for it to know. Because there's no debuff or anything on you. So.
Okay.
At the end of the
get crazy. He attacks.
At the end of the page, there's do we need to make sure the 3 people with a little ground tremble thing, like they're moving to a particular position?
So Oro will reemerge at one of those 3 locations. So that's one you can do it where you just group them all up in one place so you know where he's going to reemerge. That's one way to do it. I have done it that way in the past. I've also had it pretty much done where once you find out who it is, those 3 people just stand in the middle and don't dodge the stuff, and the healers just heal the people taking damage from it.
That's what we did way back in the day. Like they just mostly clump and you just spam those.
So.
Yeah, that'd probably work.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ways.
Faster, deals more damage, scarabs spawn, and quakes are happening all around the room, so he's not really an easy boss. So things can get pretty bonkers, but
he
when the
won't
boss is
submerge
dead,
once he enrages.
He drops this loot. With all the other bosses dead in the Temple of Ahn'Qiraj, you can face the last boss.
Your heart will explode.
Before we even talk about Cthulhu, we need to talk about the pole. Cthulhu has an ability called I-Beam, which is casted on a random player and chains to other players. Each player it chains to makes it do significantly more damage.
Double.
This combined with a narrow doorway the whole raid is forced to walk through to start the fight can be problematic for your raid.
You'll get hit for 15 million.
You betray your friends.
So to pull the boss, you'll want all of your raid mounted up on Qiraji mounts facing the wall, ready to pull. To start the fight, you'll need a tank, a hunter, or just someone with a lot of nature resistance, charge forward and soak the first beam. After the beam is casted, then your whole raid can get into their spots.
You soak the first 3
positioning.
beams.
Yeah, so
the first 3 beams go on the first person to aggro him.
Yeah, so the first person to walk in line of sight immediately gets targeted. So this strategy that they showed, he just kind of charged in. They waited until the first beam to connected, and then they followed in after. You can follow in sooner, but it takes
just
practice.
Can't get within you just can't get within 10 yards of him. And he I-beams every 2.5 seconds. and the first 3 I-beams will go on that person. So you have about 6 to 7 seconds to get in position.
How much damage is it on the first guy?
It's like 2,000. And then it will double to 4, and then the third person will take 8,000 damage and die. The fourth person would take 16, and obviously
Yeah, it gets.
And personal responsibility is imperative for this fight. To make it easy for everybody, assign each group in your raid to a specific part of the room. This will help everyone stay spread and avoid taking damage from the I-beam. The I-beam.
So we're gonna be so there's a room much smaller than the Cthulhu room, but there is a kind of a circle room that we're gonna be practicing positioning on, just to kind of get everyone familiar with it. There's gonna be a lot of setup for this boss. In fact, if you look at the raid resources channel in Discord, that's kind of the spreadsheet that we've got for it that we're gonna be using. But it's think about it like a clock face, like just like how on the video they've got their own spots. The reason it's imperative that people are comfortable and familiar with this is because of the dark glare,
is
which
going
they'll
to be
talk
the
about.
number one reason why you will wipe on this boss.
West, like it looks kind of like the Millennium Falcon on the mini-map, right? And you come in from the left-hand side of the west side of the room?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Cthulhu also has an ability called Dark Glare, where he will turn red and fire an instant-killing laser beam and slowly rotate around the room. It's very important that members of your raid maintain proper positioning, and by the end of Dark Glare, they should be on the opposite side of the room to avoid being stacked up.
So, something that I see, and again, it's maybe I'm just being nitpicky here, but this room is so big, people are going to be spread out at the edges of these little octants, and when during that glare, if he starts between group 3 and 4 and he's going to end between group set, like you don't have to stay running around the entire edge of this thing. You can cut across.
So because he does not I-beam during dark glare, so it doesn't matter if you're within 10 yards of somebody else while dark glare is going. You just have to make sure you're in the correct place when it ends.
Yeah. And so you can honestly, like melee DPS, that's a great time. Like it's super easy for you to just cut around, like hug the corner or hug the wall, hug his body thing, whatever. Like you can, it's super easy for you. You should never stop attacking him throughout a dark glare, but just as long as you're cognizant of where you are on the map and kind of where you need to be as far as the positioning goes.
On melee stacking, do we have a 6 or 8 chosen few?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we'll probably see what it looks like from other people, how much damage other people who are doing 8 or stacking 8 groups are taking. It's probably going to be something that we'll have to see what the numbers end up looking like in Classic before we can decide how we're going to stack melee.
So, no, that was my question. Are we going to try to stack, or are we going to just have melee stand out?
We'd like to stack,
but once we're going to have to see numbers.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll probably have another movie night before we start Cthulhu attempts, to be honest.
I'll stand with Territory.
Glare, they should be on the opposite side of the room to avoid being
so this is
up.
all phase 1.
During phase 1, claw tentacles will also spawn. These tentacles will appear below a random player and knock them up, and it's important that a tank gets them ASAP and they are focused down.
They have 1,500 health, Scorch, Fire Blast, and they die.
Yeah, they die so easy.
They have
and
1,500
you can
health.
Like if we don't have all the melee stacked, like melee, you can move in and kill them real quick. Just obviously be aware of your surroundings.
I wouldn't even bother. No one should move to kill these things because then you risk getting too close to somebody and I-beam chaining. Just have the closest mage Scorch, Fire Blast it, and they should die.
Yeah. But that's
the next priority are these eye tentacles that will cast Mind Flay
calls this
on
the
random
tentacle
members
rape
of your raid.
party.
Have DPS kill them quickly and make sure none are up during dark glare.
This is where the again we've said that shadow protection potions are super helpful for Cthulhu, but we're not going to require them. That's the damage. That's the shadow damage that it's going to be preventing.
These guys are silenceable. They're stunnable. So if you have counterspell, all the mages can just instantly counterspell one close to them.
Iron grenades.
Yeah, grenades work.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's pretty easy, but
yeah,
you can, they'll target random people across the room and stuff. So I've been hit by it as a caster DPS, but it was on the opposite side of Cthulhu from me, and so I can't do anything about it.
Don't move. Yeah, so ideally, this is why it's everybody in the raid has to be doing the right thing, because it's not like, oh, I'm over here. I notice there's an eye tentacle over there. I'm going to go kill it. No, you're going to kill the whole raid if you try to move through everyone to kill one of these things. Every group has to be responsible for getting them down.
When Cthulhu's eye dies, the rest of the old god will rise from the darkness, and you'll have to deal with phase 2 of the fight. Some new adds will be summoned during this part of the fight. Giant eye tentacles will have the same eye beam ability Cthulhu's eye had, but they can be interrupted and stunned.
So you can get that item from Undead Strat, that Wail of the Banshee, and you can use it to silence these guys at range, like warriors.
They're also stunnable. So I'm gonna be wearing my title charm for this, just so I can 30-yard range, 3 seconds stun them.
Earthshock.
Yep, Earthshock. Counterspell.
Earthshock only counters it. They don't have a cast time. So,
yeah, they do.
No, they need to be. It's just silence that you need to silence and stuns. I'm pretty sure
you should be able to interrupt because it's a 1.5 second
channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've always seen.
We'll give it a whirl. Yeah. We'll know more after it.
Generally, you just stack the raid so you know where they spawn, and then you stun lock them to death. That's generally the approach.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's take a look at this. So over here, this is the entrance as from the angle that we're looking at. So we're all going to run in, we're going to circle the boss, and then once we kill the eye, once we're done with phase 1, everybody's going to come down to the opposite end of the room from where we walked in. Everyone's going to kind of group up here, and that way we can kind of force at least the giant claws to spawn on top of us. The giant eyes. The giant eyes, at least on private servers, it was kind of random, and so
I think that's usually because he alternates giant claws and giant eyes. So he does that, and in between each of them, he does another tentacle raid party. So you're going to need to have people go blink over to the other side and kill the tentacles back by the stairs. And then if they don't get back in time, then the eyes can spawn somewhere else, the giant eyes. But
to avoid being stacked up, phase 2. Giant claw tentacles will also spawn under players and deal massive damage to anybody in melee range.
I don't think they're going to
one-shot
you.
They hit harder than Broodlord.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to want to be near
Phase 2 is all about ad management because Cthulhu has a shield that stops him from being damaged. The only way that he can be damaged is a random player during phase 2.
Yeah, so just to reiterate what the video just said, you don't even need, there's no point in attacking Cthulhu. That I know people, you don't want to stop attacking because Maparses, but there's really no point. Just make sure that
debuffs up.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but if we're about to move into a weakened phase or something like that, but the big thing here is just positioning and making sure that you're taking care of ads and stuff like that.
Will be eaten and teleported inside Cthulhu's stomach. Players in the stomach have a stacking dot on them, but they need to kill the tentacles to lower Cthulhu's shield.
So this dot, it stacks on you regardless of whether or not you're standing in the goo or if you're standing on a platform. These things, they will only hit melee people. So and they do hit quite hard actually. So if you're a warrior or a rogue, before you just go balls deep and start wailing on these things, make sure that there's a healer in there with you. If there's not, you may as well just leave. Because
a rogue could pop evasion and hit him for a few seconds. Uses energy. A rogue pops evasion, uses his energy bar, and then leaves.
Yeah,
if there's no healer.
Yeah, you just step on this little spider web platform to get launched out. But yeah, so you'll get dropped in the goo. If you need to throw a quick heal on yourself or anybody else in here, you're gonna get the damage, the stacking debuff, regardless of where you stand. So
greater nature protection potions prevent it.
Yes.
Any rules on dots below a certain percent threshold for control purposes?
10%. If it's at 10% or lower, then we shouldn't put dots on it unless we call out for a kill.
Yeah.
So the first one, it doesn't, like the first one that we kill, it doesn't really matter. It's not like they respawn if we take too long or anything.
Mhm.
So we'll just say, and we'll say it again multiple times. The first target, the first one that you should always focus will always be the left one. Just putting it out there, you know. And so in theory the left one will die first, and then we kind of have to be vocal, be communicative. How many people have we got in the stomach? What's the life total of the second one? Because we don't want to kill it and go into a weakened phase when we've got a giant claw tentacle alive. You know, we want to be ready for it. We want to, like Gak said, we want to make sure all of our correct debuffs are up on the boss, and then we kill the claw, which immediately launches everyone out of the stomach, and then we go berserk. And we go ham.
We will. So I'm going to just say we will not be able to one phase the weakened. He has as much health. He has as much health as Ragnaros. The weakened lasts 45 seconds. We've never killed Ragnaros in 45 seconds.
But
we've never tried to kill Ragnaros in 5 seconds.
But I also wasn't fire either.
Yeah, I mean, you're comparing it weird because we don't stack cooldowns. Like I've never stacked all of my cooldowns.
Okay.
Especially for Ragnaros.
We haven't. We've never come very close. So
yeah, I agree with you, Gax. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Don't anticipate being able to kill him in one weakened phase. You know, like honestly, if we can get him in the first weakened phase, if we can get him to like 30%, in my mind that would be a guaranteed kill. And I think that's very doable.
Yep.
But yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll keep.
So your raid can damage him. When the tentacles are dead or the DPS inside the stomach are taking too much damage, they need to go to the teleport pad in the middle of the stomach. DPS, tanks, and healers have a chance to be teleported in the stomach. Tanks should get out as fast as possible, healers should top everyone up before leaving the stomach, and DPS need to stay in as long as possible to burn down these tentacles. Cthulhu will turn...
it says healers just top people off. Healers, if you're in there with a mage or a warlock or a hunter, someone that is not going to take damage just from going crazy on those things, stay in there. Stay in there and then just call out, be like, "Oh, hey, the damage is getting a little much," you know, and then you guys can both roll out.
If there's a claw tentacle spawning soon, then you probably want to get out a giant claw because those things will truck the tank.
Yeah. So, but just be aware, be vocal. Be aware of like who's in there with you. You know, if you're the first one to get in there and you're a healer, don't stay in there just in hopes that a ranged gets in. If you're the only healer in there, just if you're the only person in there and you're a healer, jump out immediately.
Throw a Shadow Word Pain on the two, and then get out.
There you go. Flame shock it.
Yeah, move towards the teleport platform, but use your GCDs in a productive way while you're doing that.
Yep. And so, sorry, go ahead.
Is the I-beam an issue during giant claw tentacles phase or not?
Cthulhu will no longer I-beam you. The giant eye tentacles do the exact same I-beam, and they spawn. So that's what you have to just stun lock and kill them before they do it. So the old strat that people used to use was you just maintained the same positioning around the room that you had in phase 1, and whoever was close to the eye tentacles had to kill him. And it just took a while, then that's what led to the mathematically impossible, is you couldn't keep up with the tentacle spawns. The new strat that people use is we're going to force the tentacles to spawn in one location, and then we have enough damage to just stun lock the giant eye tentacles to death. So they will never do an I-beam, so it doesn't matter that we're stacked. So we'll obviously see if that strat works still on Classic like it did on private servers before we get here.
Yeah. Other people that are going to be going in on day 1, I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing. But I would recommend to anyone to watch some of those streams, just so that we can plan all we want based off of information that we have. But it's seeing it happen might give us an edge, might give us some ideas on how we can we can do it as efficiently as possible. Let's see. Yeah, there it is.
Shield, so your raid can damage him. When the tentacles are dead, or the raid will have 45 seconds to...
So yeah, this is what he looks like when he goes weakened. We definitely don't want to push into a weakened... Sorry, I'm repeating myself, but we definitely don't want to push into a weakened phase until we're ready, until we call for it. Just because that's how we kill the boss, yeah.
To deal as much damage as possible. It's likely that he will need to go through 2 vulnerability phases to kill him. I know, it's crazy, it's a classic WoW boss that actually has mechanics that you need to pay attention to. But when you manage to defeat the old god, he drops this loot.
Sick loot, dude.
Oh, it's insane. It's
when Cthulhu dies, he will also drop his eye that can be turned into this cool cat just outside of the arena, and it'll tell you to go to the cat.
So these cool cats, as he put it, those are also the NPCs that you talk to turn in
the regalia and the armaments.
Exactly. And so if you get those from, like, because they can drop from earlier bosses, so just take into consideration that you're not going to be able to get much from it until we get to this point, which really shouldn't be a problem.
Hopefully week 2 by the...
I also popped the new world buff too.
No, the new world buff doesn't come in until
it was a joke.
Okay, yeah. So there is a Silithus world buff, but it doesn't come in until phase.
I hate world buffs.
Caverns of Time, and this rewards you with some rep, and you...
Yeah, those are the Eye of Cthulhu rewards.
Yeah, so the ring, the caster ring's kind of highest prio. You'll notice in our priority spreadsheet, anyone who's going to use the caster, that ring, gets highest prio. Then the healing neck and hunters for the cloak, and then rogues and warriors are lowest prio, pretty much on the...
Rogues don't want it anyway.
Yep.
I want it.
You get a choice between these 3 items. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is AQ40.
But yeah.
Hopefully...
So that's pretty much all there is to it. I don't know. I know that a lot. I wanted to use this video because it's a little bit lighthearted, and I think a lot of these kind of, not necessarily dungeon dives, or just kind of these walkthroughs that people are posting on AQ. They're hyping it up to be some scary, insane dungeon, but it's just new content. You know, it's not impossible. It's not anything crazy like that. Like, there's some new things for us, but we're all competent players and we're all capable of learning. So I really don't see us struggling all that much. I maybe I'm being optimistic here, but I'm confident that after Thursday and Sunday, that we will clear all but Cthulhu. I do feel that Cthulhu might take us like week 2, and I also just getting bug mounts on everyone and stuff like that.
I'm slightly less optimistic. I think we'll get to Ems, maybe kill him the first week, and I don't think we're really going to do post-Ems trash first week, so I don't think we'll do Oro or Cthulhu.
I cleared AQ when I was 15, so I think everyone's better than 15-year-olds is, so I think we're going to clear it pretty easily.
15-year-old me was better than 15-year-olds is.
Are we realistically going to be able to beat it without Alex Jones?
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've gotten kind of we've gotten a sampler as far as like some of the crazier stuff in AQ40, in my opinion, is just kind of the hecticness. There's a lot of things going on, like people moving around and mobs moving around and stuff like that. It's just a lot of the fights feel really hectic. Feel like there's a lot of shit going on. But and there is, in a sense, but everyone has their own jobs. Like, we're gonna try and make everyone's roles as clear as possible and everything. And like I said, I know we can do it. Like, I'm not to sound too big-headed, but we're badasses. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen stats. Like, at one point we were like number 3 on the server for our like Blackwing Lair clear and shit like that. Like, we are good players. Everyone here is good players. Yeah, I
didn't know about that.
We are designated hot boys, so don't stress it too much. again, I know I said this before, but if you're struggling, if any of like the melees, warriors, hunters, rogues, move, like anybody that's going to be a soaker for Hoo-Hoo, like if you're struggling getting nature resist gear, hit me up, message me on Discord, and we can figure out a time that I'm more than happy to help people farm.
Probably tomorrow. We're going to probably have to do a lot of it tomorrow because hopefully after that we're going to be in Clendathu for a while.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get sweaty and still at this, and I'd love for you guys to join me.
Yep.
I'd love to give out DKP for it.
Feeling sweaty just thinking about it.
Gex, when you get to the point where you get to watch a little movie in front of the gates with,
I think if we get to that point and
if you could stream that'd be cool.
Yeah, sure. And I'm definitely not streaming I won't be streaming my camera because maybe I'll be hard as a rock if we get to that point.
No, I want to see that shit.
Just Discord.
Because man, that would mean we got past the hard part.
That's the OnlyFans Gax stream.
Yep. No, the Gax OnlyFans comes with the black mount. There's the incentive. That's when the Gax OnlyFans comes out.
BBB.
Quick question. For the DKP for bug stomping, is that available to members?
Yes.